So why did you disagree with me so much to begin with? This was the start of the podcast, Lockie.
Yeah, so the podcast kind of talks about, I guess he starts in a way I didn't expect. I kind of expected him to talk more around investment or something along those lines, but he starts by talking about this new book he's writing, The Great Game, which is a work of fiction, but it's sort of a teaching book about how to be happy from what I can understand, or at least around those themes of happiness.
Yeah. How to live the game of life.
And I think it's just the way he was speaking about it that kind of bugged me and really put me off, and my radar was up saying, let's get the hell out of here. I was like, should I spend the rest of the time? What's wrong with Ryan? Why is he listening to this?
So which I think we were actually in agreement about is I thought that there was a degree of certainty and almost, I'm hesitant to say it, but arrogance that went with some of those thoughts around how to live a good life, particularly coming off the back of where those initial thoughts had come from. I guess I was a little bit skeptical because he was basically asked a question out of the blue on stage in an interview with Tim Ferriss as to what his New Year's resolutions were coming off the previous year, and basically after a little back and forth in his own mind, he was able to come up with 3 different learnings that he'd had from the previous year, which were the importance of connecting with others, the importance of making fun and delight in any situation, and leaning into each moment expecting magic or miracles to happen. Now, it's not to pull away necessarily from those points, but I think for them to be almost aha light bulb moments on stage in front of a lot of people after what sounded like he kind of fell into answering the question in a way that he wasn't expecting. He actually said that he said that there were 3 things he'd reflected on, but he hadn't actually reflected on the year at all, which he was honest about. And it just didn't, maybe there was like a disingenuous element to it.
Yeah, like
maybe.
He goes on to sort of talk about how statistically we're better off than we've ever been financially and quality of life than, say, compared to, I think Shane kind of points out, compared to, say, past centuries or this sort of thing. But, suicide rates are at an all-time high and this sort of thing, which again is kind of like a really high-level view in my opinion. And then the conclusion drawn is that people are unhappy and money's not the issue, which I'm not sure you can just generalize like that to everyone. And it just gave me the overall feel that he was kind of approaching it from, I've been really financially successful and I'm really smart, which of course he is, and I loved the bit on investment and that sort of thing. And I'm a pretty happy guy, so I can solve this issue. It came from this sort of intellectualizing, in a field that really he doesn't really, like, he can have a personal opinion about it, of course, and he's lived a life. But to me, it was really, I'm not sure that's the type of person I really want to be listening to for advice on happiness. And this is something that I thought would be interesting to talk about because, you're kind of drawn to people, at least I am, and Warren Buffett may be a good example of this, is like, this guy's super successful. He seems like a really good guy. He's wonderful speaker and he's got that sort of folksy nature about him. And, his book that was written about him, Snowball's probably my favourite book. But people go to these Berkshire Hathaway meetings and ask him all about all these life and philosophical questions, which he answers. But because he's good at picking stocks, is that a good reason to ask him about all your other troubles? And then I think that people sometimes get sucked into answering these things as these successful figures where they really, they don't know that much more about it than the next person on the street. I reckon.
Yeah. Almost as if you've had some success in this part of your life, therefore you must have the whole of it worked out.
Yeah, you're just like this sage.